Okay, hello everyone. What is up? My name is Creep, and it's been a while. It's been a hot while since I've been here, and this is a new video format. This is probably what I'm gonna switch over to, just because I feel like it's a lot easier for me to find the motivation and energy to make videos like this. And honestly, I prefer not feeling like I have to put a bunch of effort into my appearance just so that I don't feel gross in a video. So, yeah. My very first not so visual video essay, and it is about Wattpad. I mentioned doing this video back in October-ish of fucking 2019 and have been sitting on essentially a rough draft of the outline, and now even the pretty much what is exactly the outline I'm going to be using today for over a year at this point. And I figured, fuck it, why not get to it? So this is the problems of Wattpad in 2021, brought to you by yours truly. So I think it's best that I start with a little bit of background and context. I joined Wattpad as a website when I was in junior high, roughly about 2013. I was just looking for a writing platform. I wanted a website where I'd be able to post original fiction and not just fan fiction. However, most of the original fiction that I was posting originally was vague concepts that didn't really have any developmental ideas behind it, no outlines, no actual substance, and was pretty much just me coming up with like a concept for a character or a plot and then writing a couple chapters and then being disillusioned with how unpopular and unsuccessful the chapters were and getting mad because I felt like I was owed success and moving on. However, as a 21-year-old, I'm able to look back and realize, yeah, it was kind of garbage. No wonder people weren't reading it. I'm actually glad that people were not reading that content because it was kind of garbage. However, despite the jealousy and unnecessary frustrations, I think some of my problems still ring true. And I've held on to some of these ideas for quite a while. So, let's just get into, some of that. So first and foremost, fanfiction is kind of what dominates Wattpad, which isn't necessarily a problem. I think it wouldn't be so much of a problem if it wasn't for the fact that fanfiction is so popular that oftentimes it can be really difficult to find non-fanfiction, especially if you're just going by the stuff that's like really popular and that's recommended to you. And if you are finding non-fanfiction content to read, a lot of times it was stories using the same general tropes. The ones that were popular during my time were the gangster's son, the bad boy, the werewolf. There was a lot of like play in a very vanilla ABO kind of Omegaverse sense with a lot of the werewolf fiction. The gangster's son was always some random girl getting caught up with this guy, or occasionally a rival boss's daughter. And the bad boy was almost always the bad boy getting with the nerd or the good girl or whatever. So fanfic, especially fanfic from very popular fandoms like Blue Exorcist, Attack on Titan, Black Butler, Death Note, the ones that were super popular during my heyday back in the early 2010s, were constantly performing well, kind of regardless of the actual quality of the content, especially when it was fanfic, because you have a lot of fans, particularly young girls usually, that are just ravenous for content that fits into whatever niche it was that they were wanting to read about. You did have stories that were better written, that had a lot more of a kind of quality control, if you will, kind of aspect to them that would rise to the top, but usually I would say that even if they did rise to the top, it was still kind of hard to find them without going into specific genres, just because the recommended pages oftentimes were these very tropey pieces of media and these fics. So it was kind of an uphill climb through whatever tweens and teen girls who were and probably still are the main demographic of Wattpad users were into at the time. And I don't think that there's any problem with that. I think, you know, young kids, especially young girls, deserve to have the content that they want catered to them. However, I do have a problem when that content is like the majority of what's getting recommended to people who aren't looking for that kind of content. I do have a problem with it when it makes it difficult to find content that isn't like that. And because of that, despite the fact that it wasn't an inherent problem to Wattpad and it was actually something created by the fact that the main user base was made up of these young girls, it came to define Wattpad as a platform, which honestly kind of delegitimized it. Even back in like 2015, if you said that you wrote on Wattpad and you were successful, that wasn't something that you could particularly brag about unless you were in a space that was particularly neutral and or positive to the platform as a whole. Otherwise, it was received negatively, oftentimes mocked, because Wattpad was known as the place with the really, really cringy fanfics, and oftentimes poorly written erotica aimed at teen girls. And so Wattpad became a joke. It was literally shitty fanfic central, to the point where Jenny Nicholson has a video or has two different videos actually, where she talks about how she goes on Wattpad and reads ridiculous fanfiction with her friend, and she even goes through some of the fanfics in the video. Like, it's just a thing. Fanfiction.net, while it probably was the butt of jokes, never, as far as I could tell from my days in fandom, when fanfiction.net was still being used, was never nearly as much of a laughingstock as Wattpad was. Now, to divert a little bit, let's discuss the effect Wattpad has had on publishing. After, by Anna Todd, which has 2 films currently, and has the entire series published as quote-unquote original fiction, found its start as a college AU Harry Styles fanfiction. There's other straight-up pieces of original fiction that have been published by Wattpad's in-house publishing company, Wattpad Books. And there's also been self-publishing of content that got popular on Wattpad. So Wattpad has had an actual substantial effect on publishing as a whole. But it's not necessarily a good or bad effect, it's just kind of something that's happened. Oftentimes, pieces found on Wattpad, as far as I've been able to tell, haven't been picked up by more traditional publishing houses, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Everybody, it's up to you to decide how you feel about traditional publishing, and the merits of self-publishing, and so on and so forth. But that does mean that at the very least, in the standard mainstream measuring of success, Wattpad writers aren't really making it that far. Why have I mentioned all this context? How does this have anything to do with any of my issues with Wattpad? Why is this important in any way, shape, or form outside of understanding what it is as a platform? Well, Wattpad has become a very large company, significantly larger than it was when I first joined it in about 2013. And in its growth, I really do feel that it has strayed away from its intended purpose of providing a platform for young writers, as well as writers who aren't necessarily young, but who are simply aspiring, or people who might be published and just want to fuck around with simple pieces that they don't necessarily want to make money off of. The general setup of Wattpad and the concept of the Watties has become more and more difficult to navigate as the years have gone by, especially if you don't write within currently popular trends, tropes, and genres, which has made Wattpad, in my opinion, an incredibly inaccessible writing platform, which goes directly against the mission of a writing platform. I might have participated in the Watties more than once. The only time that I can remember was, I think, the 2018 ones. I was working on a short story that I have since moved to my Inkit account, and that has been on a hiatus for a while just because I haven't had the time to get to it or the energy. But there was also a Pride Month kind of contest that I entered it in. And I don't know, just the Waddies were so difficult to understand. I didn't understand how any of it worked. I low-key don't think the Waddies is really that worthwhile, especially considering, as far as I've come to understand, they don't use it as the metric of what does and does not get published through Wattpad books. And, oh yeah, the website and its, like, formatting and stuff for, writing and uploading chapters and such was already fucking incomprehensible and only became more and more difficult to understand with every update that went on. And that's honestly not even the fucking half of it. Because the worst part, the part that pissed me off, that only fucking within like the last year or so really has been fucking remedied in any way, shape, or form, is the fact queer fiction is like an established and acknowledged genre in the writing industry, right? Like, queer romances are separate from, like, het romances because queer romances have a different audience in which they would be marketed to. As well as the fact that queer fiction actually does exist as a genre, oftentimes exploring concepts regarding LGBT plus people. Despite this, for the longest fucking time, werewolf and vampire were established genres on Wattpad that you could publish your stories under as a category, but LGBT plus fiction was not on there at all. That had changed the last time I went on Wattpad because there was a diverse literature genre, and when I went on there today, April 22nd of 2021, just to get an idea of, has this changed? LGBTQ plus is now a category that you can publish your stories under as well. However, that does not change the fact that there has been a huge problem of the fetishizing of queer lit, particularly queer lit written by non-queer people, that's just kind of existed on Wattpad for a really long time. This idea of my sweet sinful babies regarding two gay boys in a relationship, the fact that because the majority of the user base is female, a lot of like lesbian literature doesn't exist in comparison to boy love literature, because boy love literature is fetishized more oftentimes by straight women than girl love literature. LGBT fiction that's written by actual LGBT plus people oftentimes gets overshadowed by LGBT fiction written by non-queer people, because the ones that's written by non-queer people is going to be what is most palatable to the non-queer audiences that are eating it up because they think it's a sin or they think it's hot and sexy, whereas queer people are going to be searching out more, realistic depictions of it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And that just stands as a roadblock for queer writers. I have absolutely no problems at all with the writer of Love, Simon. Or not Love, Simon. Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, or whatever the original book title is. I have literally no problems with Becky Albertalli. And she is, if I'm remembering correctly, she came out as bisexual because she felt pressured to because people were criticizing that a straight woman was writing MLM fiction. And, I have no problems with her. I've heard from quite a few people that she does a very good job of presenting it in a way that doesn't read as fetishistic. However, I really would, appreciate it if we just let gay men write gay men stories and lesbians write lesbian stories. Because, no one's going to be able to tell a more authentic queer story than a fucking queer person, On that note, cis people, stop trying to write trans people all the time. Sometimes you're just not going to be good at it, and that's okay. You should try your best. But also, instead of making your main character, queer or trans, queer, whether that's trans, gay, bi, non-binary, however you want to look at it, instead of making your main character that and then struggling to write them in an authentic way, perhaps just find actual queer people who are writing characters like that and just uplift their stories, and make sure their voices are being heard, considering the fact that you would be writing about characters that mirror their lived experiences, in theory. Oh, also, to prove the fact that even though LGBTQ plus is now a category that doesn't actually help at all, because guess what was the #1 free story in the tag LGBT as of today, April 22nd, 2021? A brother love incest story. So there you have it, folks. Even when the queers get their acknowledged fucking category, fucking fetishistic bullshit dominates it. Now, on to point 2. That was all point 1. Just the whole blah. Point 2. The entire concept of Wattpad Premium. The second that I saw Wattpad Premium, I thought, this is fucking stupid. This is dumb as hell. Why the fuck does this exist? Why do we need this? And guess what, bitch? I was right. I was right to think that shit was dumb as hell. Oh, also, let's discuss some of the benefits of it. First and foremost, you get access to all their color themes for the website, including dark mode, which just feels incredibly ableist to lock that behind a paywall, because there are people who use dark mode to reduce the amount of eye strain that they get from using certain websites and apps and such. So, bad on you, Wattpad. Second of all, no ads. Wattpad never ran ads before. Like, my entire time using Wattpad, it never fucking ran ads. But now it does on the free-to-read stories, which, need I remind you, if you didn't know, Wattpad's biggest fucking selling point back in like 2014 was the fact that every single story on there was free. Oh, you can also download stories to read offline, which unlimited access to doing that is locked behind the paywall. And if I understand correctly, you can download like 2 stories at a time or whatever if you don't have Wattpad Premium. But that was another thing that you could do before. I had multiple books like downloaded on my phone that I would read during school when I didn't feel like reading any of the actual books that I had checked out. And then there's also bonus coins that you get, I'm assuming probably per month, that you can use to pay for reading paid stories. These developments aren't the worst things that ever could have fucking happened, but it's so incredibly frustrating to see, especially if you're someone who's been using the platform for a particularly long time, because while it's nice that they're being transparent about their monetization of the website, it's also like, I was able to do these things without paying for it literally like 2 months ago. What the fuck is up, my guy? Oh, and there's also the fact that Wattpad to this day still appeals largely to kids with ambitions to become published writers. So there's also the whole like gross part of potentially like monetizing off of content created by children. Like your free-to-read stories. The free-to-read story that was written by a 12-year-old that has ads running on it, meaning Wattpad makes money off of this child's labor. Because anyone who's reading it and is sitting through the ads is, you know, giving them money, which is pretty sketch as hell to me. So, yeah, that's a little sketch. Oh, also, Wattpad is a fucking pyramid scheme. 100%. It's a fucking pyramid scheme. The way that shit is working now, pyramid scheme. 100%. So, the paid stories, or the stories in which you have to buy the right to read, are essentially locked behind a exclusive wall. Only select writers become a part of that program. The initial program was released via the Wattpad Next beta rollout, which came out sometime in 2018. Let's look at some of the Twitter thread. So this is all screenshots from a Twitter thread. The original tweet was posted on October 18th of 2018. A Twitter user, who I will not name simply for the sake of privacy, asked under a tweet about WattCon 2018, if those on premium get to read all books without having to buy coins, are you going to still pay writers, those who are in the Wattpad Next program, when premium readers read their books? Another user responded and said, "Wait a minute, what's this? Sounds like a loophole out of paying majority of writers to me. Unless I'm mistaken, I'd like to know this answer as well." The official Wattpad Twitter responded, "Hi there, you can find answers to questions regarding writer compensation here," on their FAQ. The purpose of Wattpad Next Beta is for writers to be paid for their work. So let me read the 2 beta details screenshots that I have for you. So, first question, how much of the money goes to writers? Because this is a beta program, all writers will be automatically compensated for their participation. Since this program is about understanding how readers can support writers and the different ways writers can make money from their work on Wattpad, all participants will earn the same amount for each story part published as part of the program. Second question, how much of the money will go to Wattpad? Because this is a beta program, Wattpad has invested to ensure all writers are paid regardless of the results. Wattpad will also be sharing revenue with writers whose work earns more than projected. So essentially, a non-answer. I scrolled through the entirety of the fucking FAQ regarding that program, and that was literally the only 2 things that seemed to actually, warrant any kind of merit. Those 2 particular screenshots were actually taken from later on in the thread when the initial questioner posted the 2 screenshots, but I did look through myself and found pretty much nothing that actually seemed to be important. So the original questioner responded, they give a small group just enough benefits just to keep everyone else pumping out free content like the pyramid scheme that they are. Many of us wouldn't have a problem paying for Wattpad if they weren't so effing shady. That was in response to the second person who commented in the thread. Wattpad responded, "Hi again," highlighting this point from the FAQ. Because this is a beta program, all writers will be automatically compensated for their participation. This program will help determine how writers can earn money for their works on Wattpad. The original poster replied, "Yeah, we all get that. I'm not asking about the beta version, and you know that. What will be the pay rate of Next if Next is implemented, and how will writers get paid for premium reads?" Wattpad responded, "Whether stories are purchased through coins or read by premium readers, writers that are part of the Wattpad Next Beta program are paid. Rates and rollouts are yet to be determined, as the focus of Wattpad Next Beta is to test and learn the best way to support and pay our writers." The original commenter replied again, "Yeah, we know they're getting paid. Yeah, we know it's a beta. I find it hard to believe you rolled out a beta without any numbers to show." Which is an incredibly fair point. They probably should have had numbers to show, and either they do have numbers and they refuse to reveal them, or they didn't have numbers and were trying to squirrel their way out of saying that directly. The original commenter went on to talk about Radish and how they split it up. This is through the use of their coin system. The App Store gets 40%, Radish gets 30%, and the writers get 30%. So what say you, Wattpad? How much will you compensate your exclusive club? Hopefully better than with the Futures program. I don't know what the Futures program is, and I didn't feel like looking into it. Both these programs are cheese for the mice, essentially pyramid scheming. And then the definition of pyramid scheme: a business model that recruits members via a promise of payments or services for enrolling others in the scheme, rather than supplying investments or sale of products or services. So the thing is, it's not a direct, pyramid scheme. It's not these paid writers get to recruit new people to join, as far as I've been able to tell, even with the Next program. But rather, it's these paid writers exist to show, hey, if you keep pumping out content on our website, maybe you'll become a paid writer too. And that's just really sketch to me. So then the last comment in the thread that I have screenshotted is the link only talks about the beta program and not the future compensation. What percentage will writers get? What percentage will they get from premium and then from coins? And as far as I was able to tell, Wattpad just stopped responding, which looks questionable, to say the least. So let's break all this down more. Premium members didn't have to buy coins to read the paid stories. So, simply put, how the fuck were the people getting paid? Did they have a particular system in mind in which the people who wrote the paid stories would be able to be compensated when coins were not what was allowing people to read? Because at the time, premium members could read paid stories without necessarily paying for them. And they mean they're paying for premium, but they're not directly paying for the story itself. Furthermore, the possibility of getting to join this exclusive group of paid writers is enough encouragement for everyone, especially younger, more easily manipulated writers who aren't involved, to keep releasing free content, which allows Wattpad to make more money, especially after they've started to run ads on free content. And the fact that they continued to dodge answering the questions directly or even properly when being asked multiple questions, all with the core idea of how the fuck are these people getting paid, they just kept defaulting to an FAQ that answered nothing. And blatantly admitted that they didn't even have a set idea of how people would get paid via the percentage of profits. So even if everything has been figured out, smoothed out, perfected by 2021, the behavior should be very concerning. And there's still very valid points that were brought up. The next program does not actually exist anymore. It was changed into the paid stories program, in which coins are the only means of paying for stories now. As far as I understand, premium members don't have full access to all paid stories anymore. They simply get bonus coins every month instead of having to buy packages of them. There's a couple different options on how to pay for them. You can pay chapter by chapter for a story, or all at once, and you do get a discount if you buy all the chapters at once. So how does this all break down? Well, the cheapest coin package is for 9 coins at 99 cents. And there's 2 payment models that they are currently testing. Each part is 3 coins, or each part is 2 to 7 coins based on word count of the chapter. But shouldn't their payment model have already been decided? Like, as far as I know, the paid stories program is not a beta. It's meant to be the official rollout. So why the hell have they still not settled on how to do it? The program is also invite only, which is a model that fanfiction website AO3 uses. And honestly, I have my gripes with AO3, and I actually have an entire idea for a video essay that includes AO3 in there, but it's still definitely my preferred website for reading and writing fanfiction. And honestly, the invite only thing doesn't look particularly good to me as a model, considering the whole concept of the pyramid scheme, and the fact that the possibility of getting into that elite group via an invite would get people to pump out free content for Wattpad, which they can run ads on, meaning they can monetize, meaning they make money off your content when you aren't yourself. And yeah, that's just all of it, everything to do with their paid stories program back when it was Next and now is so fucking concerning to me. And also, premium membership to Wattpad existed before paid stories, which, what the fuck were you paying for? Genuinely. Like, I remember when premium first came out, and I remember paid stories not being a thing at the time, and I honestly cannot tell you what benefits it provided. And honestly, it seems like premium membership is fucking pointless now, because, like, you can just buy coin packages. Wattpad literally runs, like, episode or choices, like one of those games at this point. Except, instead of the free option being this choice that's probably gonna fuck your story up a little bit, or at the very least means you don't get to have a sexy time with the hot boy that you're romancing. And the diamond choice does allow you to have that sexy time or to give the good answer. At least there's like good free content and bad free content. You just gotta wade through it, but you can find some really good stuff on Wattpad. But you have to sit through ads. So is it really worth it anyway? You know, that's the whole question. Oh, and we're finally getting on to my just absolute favorite point of all. The voting system. The voting system on Wattpad is fucking garbage, and if it exists in the form that it did last time I was fucking looking at that shit, buddy, this should have been fixed years ago. Because you see, last I knew, you can vote per chapter on a story, not just once per story. Meaning that books with more chapters are automatically favored. So a book with 10 chapters and 10 readers, each of which who vote, gets 100 votes. But a book with 100 chapters and the same 10 readers who all vote gets 1,000 votes. The voting system is also used in the Watties, which essentially means that the algorithm is unfairly skewed to favor any book with more chapters than others automatically, which seems very unfair to me. And then when you take into consideration the ad system, like, there's 2 different fucking vectors of encouragement to post more content. One of which is to just pump out content, whether or not it's chapters per story or individual stories, and another that is chapters per story specifically. But either way, Wattpad's making money off your ass because they can run more ads on stories with more chapters. They can run more ads on users' profiles who have multiple stories. Like, straight up. And there's a lot of kids who still use Wattpad, meaning children's labors of love content, labors of love fan fiction, and fix-it fix, and all these things. Children who are just trying to engage in fandom and have fun and express their creativity are being used to make money. And like, yeah, like every website runs ads. But to me, there's a difference between the way that ads are run on like DeviantArt and the way that ads are run on Wattpad. Because the way that ads are run on Wattpad, at least on the app, you've got to sit there and watch like a 30-second video. There's no skipping. And that just, I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way. It makes me feel really weird. Like, you could have ads and not monopolize off of children, you know? And the other part of it is it's like, how the fuck were you maintaining yourself and making a profit before? Genuinely. What were you doing? How were you running this website? How are you making a profit? I don't get it. I'm very concerned, and I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable, okay? Anyway, my last bit of this video, I would like to spend reading reviews off of the Trustpilot page for Wattpad. I'm not going to read all of these, because I can edit my audio so easily now. So the ones that I begin with are some of the older ones, and then the ones that I'll be ending with are the more recent ones. So, used to love Wattpad. Whole reason I would go on there is because of the ability to have free books anywhere, no need for the internet after the book is downloaded. Now with the new update, which disallows the reading of book offline, unless you are a member, is completely stupid. I am okay with ads, but the fact that you now have to pay to read the book offline is angering. I will no longer be using the site unless they change this update. I will go on to other sites that allow for free downloading of the books. Wattpad used to be my safe haven, but now it just revolves around money. Wattpad is a place where I can completely be myself by diving into books and having to meet a new character every 1 or 2 months. My library is full of books, a place where I could just choose any time I want which one to read next, even if I don't have Wi-Fi. But now this is just becoming like all the other apps, money is too much involved. At first we had to pay for stories, which didn't bother me that much because it were just a few stories, and now we have to pay to read books offline. Not cool, Wattpad is changing too much, it's not what it used to be. I'm talking about the application, love the writers. Please, I'm asking you to remove the not being able to read offline thing. Also, this person questions what the fuck Wattpad Premium even is, which is fair. What does it genuinely actually do to enhance your experience? I don't think it does anything. I joined Wattpad, premium member, uploaded and edited stories, was ranked in several categories, all my stories then disappeared. Reached out to Wattpad and a device ticket, and received no response other than the standard reply once you submit a ticket. Wattpad had one job to not lose the content writers upload. I have looked on the web, and this is a fairly common occurrence. I personally haven't heard, a shit ton of stuff about that, but wouldn't be surprised. I personally view it as a pyramid scheme. A select chosen are given access, assistance, editing, hype, pay that are chosen through nepotism or through an algorithm that uses faulty numbers. the voting system that I mentioned, while thousands of others are hidden by a purposefully damaged search/ranking system. Those who are at the bottom of the system, or bottom of the pyramid, are enticed to keep popping out free content for the site that does not protect or respect them. There's no plagiarism program to check if things uploaded are stolen, something a company of this size could afford to do. Some of their peeps had their stories stolen and did nothing to notify the other story owners of the group of 36 stolen stories. An employee's mom won a Wattie in 2017, and no one was notified, as any fair competition would make sure to do to avoid looking corrupt. Creepy enthusiasts of children and other questionable against the rules content abounds on the app, easily found in seconds. Stuff I've reported only to be asked why it was reported, in which I had to point out the clear violations in the cover image, blurb, and tags. Avoid wasting your time. Finish your manuscripts and apply for Radish, for an agent, or self-publish. Get a coffee or Patreon. I could go on and on about their bullying issues and plagiarism, etc. And it's actually funny that they mentioned the plagiarism thing, because I remember one time when I was on Quotive, there was someone who just straight up uploaded fucking, like, multiple fics of, like, the plot from the dating sim mobile app, Midnight Cinderella, and it was quite honestly just, like, I don't even think it was novelizations of the different routes, and I'm pretty sure it was a lot of just straight up ripped content. And I was like, you have a lot of balls, and honestly, I kind of respect it. Also, the fucking, like, face claim that they did for Lewis. Fuck you. That was not my boy. I got way too mad about that. But yeah. That's another thing that I didn't even talk about. The weird content on there. Because I just didn't want to open that can of worms. I also didn't want to have to do any research into that. But it is a problem that you can find very easily on there. I used to love Wattpad. It was the best app that just let you read without worrying if you had to pay. Hate the new pay-as-you-read stories. If you're young and don't have a job like me, and a lot of us, it limits you to only the books that are free. When there are so many apps like Radish that could pay you if you were wanting money as an author, it annoys me that Wattpad has become one of them. I was in the middle of a few great books when the system came in, and I can't afford to finish reading them. I'm so disappointed in Wattpad for once, and ask you to please reconsider. Which, that's another thing that honestly I didn't even touch on, but, like, that's a young user base. That's denying a lot of your users access to the stories that was, like, the selling point of it. And also the fact that there are people who just straight up were blocked from reading stories they'd already started. Beware the worst excesses of social media. This website at first feels welcoming, but through their ambassadors program, they're using users to save on labor costs. I actually have never heard of the ambassador program, or if I have, it was very offhand, and I don't really remember anything about it. But this is a very interesting discussion, because it's really, really unfortunate. Accounts of anyone who criticizes them are closed for no reason, but yet this site is awash with CP, illegal images, and stolen stories that their free labor ambassadors are meant to find and deal with. They have various programs allegedly to spot new talent, but apart from a favored few, nobody benefits. If a regular user's story is becoming too popular, it will be hidden among a pile of spam or porn. I've contacted the Canadian ambassador for my country about many worrying things that I've discovered during my 3 years as an ambassador, but would also be willing to liaise any interested media. They're taking advantage of young kids' dreams for their own financial gain, AA, and others they're getting to work for nothing. When I got thrown out of their ambassadors program for trying to offer some constructive criticism around the issue of catfishing on the site, they didn't thank me for my 3 years of unpaid work. Instead, they sent a very scary spam virus to my computer. I had to threaten them with the police to get them to remove it. I used to love Wattpad. It was a nice free way to view aspiring authors' works. Sure, most of the books were pretty bad, but it was to be expected of a free-for-all anyone-can-use app. Nowadays, the new Wattpad updates upset me. They set up a pay-for-story system where good stories have to be paid for. I don't understand the point. By making the good books unreadable for most people on the site, you're isolating those who actually use it. You may as well be Radish or any other pay-to-read site. In addition, many people will stop reading on the site because the only content they can view are badly made cliché stories. Obviously, there are hidden gems, but those that are undiscovered and not pay to read are far and few between. I do want to say I find that to be an incredibly unfair assessment. And I think it's because of Wattpad's reputation that people so often tend to fall into this idea of almost everything on Wattpad is garbage and it's hard to find good stories. I beg to differ. I think there are good stories on there. I think there is good content on there. But because it's so... First of all, I didn't even get into the tagging system. I could go on a rant about how the tagging system is garbage. But because of the way the tagging system works, and because of the way that the user base kind of decides what does and does not get popular and get views and stuff simply by certain tropes and certain tags, that again can be incredibly fucking difficult to navigate and know how to use as a writer yourself, it just kind of gets to this point where quality content is very easily buried below shit that's getting pumped out super fast without much like consideration and effort put into it, or thought, or however you want to put it. Alright, best stories, bad ad experience. Wattpad is a best place to find and read stories online. I don't think that there is any other good alternatives for this. That just means you haven't looked very hard. I just want to put that out there. Only thing that is going bad on Wattpad is that they are now too obsessed with money because they are forcing to make users watch video ads today. The past experience was great. There was no video ads that disturbed users on reading a book. And now it's very bad. And now we're getting into all of the new ones. These ones actually have dates on them. So this is June 7th of 2020. Wattpad has ruined itself. I've been using Wattpad since 2013, and I recently deleted the app for space. An app that meant so much to me and literally helped shape my high school/middle school self was deleted without hesitation. That just goes to show how I feel about it now. It honestly has gotten progressively worse. It started with the ads in between chapters, and it has escalated into a whole mess. Some of the features you have to go premium to use are absurd, and it really seems like Wattpad is taking advantage. The fact of the matter is that most of their content that is attracting new users are produced by old users for free. Only a handful of authors' works is paid, so I don't understand the huge push for premium because that only means less content on the app as more and more people get upset and drop it. It seems like in order to make money, they were willing to completely disregard their loyal OG users and destroy their site in the long run. It's honestly sad. June 26th, 2020. I guess Wattpad just ruined itself by this limited offline reading thing. This app was a safe haven for amateur writers and readers. Now it's a safe haven for capitalist pigs who just want to advertise. I used to love Wattpad. Now I can just go to Kindle and get a far better service. My advice? Just uninstall it. Why even bother reading there anymore? Inkit is a far better choice than this hellhole. I agree. I love Inkit. Wattpad, what happened to you? Are you that greedy for money? Inkit is actually the service or the platform I use now, and I will be talking about that a little bit after I finish this. Updated on June 26th of 2020. Wattpad's downfall. It used to be an amazing app with opportunities for new writers or teenagers. Now there is at least 2 ads after every chapter. Fine, I understand giving us an ad, but I hate how there is also one in the chapter I'm reading. I'm happy authors are getting a chance to get paid, but instead of forcing it on them, put a donation choice so that people can give money if they think they deserve it. This is a good idea because many people using this app don't have enough money to pay a fixed amount every month. Also, Wattpad Premium is rubbish and a stupid way for Wattpad to get rich, not beneficial for the readers or the authors. The only real benefits are being able to make your homepage look pretty and no ads. The most ridiculous thing they've done is only let us have 2 books offline. It's really disappointing because I loved this app, but know me and many other readers are looking for better alternatives. Updated June 11th. So many ads, yet only a few writers are paid. How on earth is that fair? I've been writing on Wattpad for a long time. My books are doing extremely well and I do it all for free, but there are so many ridiculous ads, I feel bad for my readers. I've rejected so many other platforms that are willing to pay me to transfer my work onto their platforms. I just might take up their offers now. I don't feel that as writers our work is credited as it should. July 20th. Downfall of Wattpad. I've been using Wattpad since 2016. At first, if you wanted to read books by your friends and writers around the world, it was the platform to use. Now it is focused on how much you are able to spend. I've been a fan of the app for a very long time, but lately, thanks to the latest update, I removed it. One of the main reasons I enjoyed the old edition was the endless free stories you could read offline, but now that option is not available. I lived in an area where the internet wasn't the best, so I would download a bunch of novels to read. I can't do that anymore because the offline limit is now 2 novels and you have to pay for it if you want limitless offline books. There are certain questions that I would like Wattpad to answer. Why would anyone pay just to read offline? What happened to the free Wattpad that everyone came to know and love? I understand that they may need the money and all, but is it appropriate to place a price on offline reading? All in all, it's been a nice run. Until we meet again, farewell. July 28th. Appalling service as if they don't even care about their customers. They had a data breach recently. The breach itself was known publicly a week before they posted a notice on their website. It took a further couple days before they even started notifying their users of the data breach. I'm not entirely sure it's legal to be sitting on this information for so long before beginning to think about telling their users. I lost access to 2 accounts with payment and bank information on them around the time this happened. I'm certain it wasn't a coincidence. I frankly don't feel safe having an account with them anymore, and so I've decided to delete it. If you're considering opening an account with them, proceed with caution. August 6th. Wattpad bad, which just reminds me of Drew Gooden and Danny Gonzalez and Curtis Connor. They all would do that. Damn, they are... Anyway. Honestly, I don't know what Wattpad is on anymore. It goes down, either DMs, notifications, books, or the servers entirely, every 5 seconds, and it has been doing this for years. How has it not been fixed by a competent computer science team, I don't know, because no other app has the issue so often. This site must have spaghetti code on the level of Yandere dev at this point, due to how dysfunctional it runs. Sometimes I refresh the page, and suddenly the page is in Arabic instead of English. How does this even happen? And there's an abundance of books that is against the TOS, which clearly shows a lack of moderation. Furthermore, Wattpad is constantly updating its site and app in a way that users hate to make it look more stylish without actually fixing the problem. 0 out of 10. And that's my final screenshotted one. But you know what? I'm feeling frisky. So I am going to follow the Wattpad Trustpilot link. And oh my god, it has a fucking 2.5. That's not good. Oh no. It is a 2.5. Okay. March 17th, 2021. Trash that steals works. Wattpad is trash that enables and encourages people to steal and repost works, fanfics, translations, novels from other people. Many of the writers/translators repost things with a description like credits to the author without mentioning the author or even a source, which is easily Googled up. Only doing this for offline reading, when they can just buy it to read offline, or download for personal use but never repost share it on another app, without any permissions from the original author/translators, just so that they can read it offline. Many writers/translators even copyright it or actively say that they were original writers/translators, which is a complete lie. They do this unrepentantly, and even if you DM them, they troll you. And that Wattpad allows this makes them worse than Instagram, where lots of artwork is stolen or reposted without consent too. This is because Wattpad actually has mods, but they allow all this atrocity to happen. Maybe mods are blind and can't see all the obvious stealing going on, which is blatant on many of these thieves' descriptions. Or maybe Wattpad shouldn't even allow fan work to be posted at all because of how this is happening at atrociously high rates. I don't know, but as long as Wattpad allows piracy to remain on their site, then it is trash. I disagree. Piracy is a thing that isn't necessarily bad. I know that the United States government would disagree. I don't think it's actually that big of a deal. I do think, however, that this is really funny. I have never heard of this happening, but honestly, I'm not even surprised. Like, there's other, like, the March 17th, another one, is a 5-star review. There's another 5-star review from March 3rd. But then February 27th of 2021, 1 star, fucking trash now. Used to be a really good app, but all the stories are getting deleted for being mature, and now you can only read 2 stories offline. Keeps giving me ads for premium, and instead of getting books recommended to me, it's giving me books I have to pay for. It's now just a stupid money-hungry app. I wish it would go back to what it used to be, because it's pissing me off. January 25th, 2 stars. Terrible. Been on Wattpad for a while now, and I've been reading a couple stories. One of my favorites just got taken down because it was reported, but there was nothing wrong with it. Had the mature tag, it didn't have inappropriate images. Now I have also seen many disturbing things on here that I have reported, but nothing was done. Seems that Wattpad chooses random stories to take down. It's not worth writing if your content that takes 100 plus hours to write suddenly gets taken down. Wattpad, this is toxic. A valued user gives up because the platform takes down their work. That had nothing offensive. I'm sorry, but I am no longer using Wattpad. And to think I was about to get premium. A 4-star review that is like, you have to be careful about writing your stories, which, oof. Another 5-star, another 5-star, and a 1-star. December 20th, about Wattpad customer service. I joined Wattpad around April or May this year, and I published my first story there. A few months after publishing it, it was deleted with no explanation. Thought nothing of it and republished the same story, but I soon copied it into a Google document and had saved it. The second time my story was deleted was around August. After that happened, I emailed Wattpad, help, and my story was brought back, along with my reads and votes. About a week ago, I logged into my account and refreshed my profile, only to find that my stories were deleted, even the ones that were unpublished, which was 4 drafts I had saved. Piece of advice. Always fucking back up your content on a like, if you write on Wattpad, don't back up all your shit on Wattpad. Have that shit backed up somewhere else. Please, for the love of God. Anyway, personal information was posted onto my account, like random announcements, along with a picture of my face. I quickly emailed Wattpad for help, but the soonest I received my response was a week later. Luckily, the announcement stopped, and I was able to revert my profile back to what it used to be. Most I could do to re-secure my account was change my password, and I would rather have more of an explanation for what happened to me than just continue being anxious about having another breach. Wattpad recently emailed me back and told me that my problem would be fixed by itself. I told them that I would like a little bit more information about what happened. I would expect a bit more from such a big website. And I think I might not necessarily read more. December 15th, 1-star review, support emails, waste of time. There's a 4-star, 3-star, 2-star. Cliches, terrible books, and hard to find a good one. 4-star, 3-star, free but flawed. 1-star, things were going good for a few years. 1-star, just worse than terrible. 1-star, unfortunately the support process is too long. 5-star, 1-star. Hateful comments, bullying, and emotional harassment. So yeah, there are people who have a great time with Wattpad. And if that's you, like, great. I'm glad for you, I guess. But, I don't know, man. I just can't help but think that perhaps Wattpad's not a great site if a lot of people have problems that don't ever get fixed. I don't know. Anyway, what site do I use now? I mentioned it already. I use Inkit. Inkit is a website. Now, okay, first of all, Inkit low-key isn't much better in terms of, like, publishing opportunities and stuff, so I just want to put that out there. However, first and foremost, the thing that, like, immediately made me so just endeared to Inkit, if you will, is their, the formatting system, the, like, writing and formatting system. Because it's actually fucking comprehensible. Like, they explain how to do scene breaks. You know, breaks between paragraphs. They explain how to format that very easily. You don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to do tabs. It just explains how you do paragraph breaks, how you do page breaks, scene breaks, all that kind of stuff. So you know exactly how to fucking do it yourself. Whereas on Wattpad, I was on there for fucking years, man. And I had, like, no idea. I still had no idea how to use the fucking writing and formatting system when I deleted my account. And I'd had that account for, like, 6 years. So that's not great. Like, it's just incomprehensible in how the fuck you're supposed to format things. And, like, I'm gonna be fully fucking fair. I use Quotive and AO3 for my fanfiction. On my Quotive account, I have 4 fics. And then on my AO3 account, I have 3, I think? 3. I have 3 of them. 1 complete on AO3, 1 complete on Quotive. I used the 2 different websites, mainly just different audiences and different kind of style of content, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And then I used Inkit. The only thing I have on Inkit is the short story that I did have on my Wattpad at one point. But like, Quotive isn't the greatest either. Sometimes it can be kind of difficult to figure out how to format things, and AO3 can also be kind of difficult to figure out how to format things. But at the end of the day, I still was able to figure out how to use them and how to be like satisfied with my formatting. Wattpad, it was never like that. I'd think I cracked the code and then I'd go check the chapter after uploading it or updating it, and then it would still look like shit and I didn't know what I did. And I reached out multiple times asking, hey, can you just explain to me how the fuck I'm supposed to format things so they don't look like shit? And they never responded. And they also, whenever I'd report stories, oftentimes would just come back and be like, this does not violate our terms of service. And it's like, it literally does, but okay. Yeah, I don't know. Never had a good time with Wattpad in, like, any way, shape, or form. So that's, like, the first reason that I use Inkit, because, like, I feel like I actually know what the fuck I'm doing. Second of all, Inkit is an entirely fucking free, like, it's all free. They've already got their, like, monetization figured out. They've got, they have a publishing system within their, they have their in-house publishing system, which is as, like, ebooks and stuff. They have their sister app, Galadia, which I have no experience with, but is kind of funky. Now, when you scroll through, a lot of the books that you see on the, like, all genres page seems to just be the, like, general kind of, like, mass market erotica type stuff. But whatever. You know. When you go into, like, distinct genres, it's not all like that. Some of them are, but not all of them. And just in general, I don't know. They've got that whole thing. They've got their own in-house, like, publishing kind of system. They've got writing contests, they've got writing groups, blah, blah, blah. And, like, I've enjoyed it. I'm not even successful on Inkit, but I feel much more fulfilled, personally. It fits much better with me. And in fact, I like Inkit enough that, like, I want to work for them. So as of right now, they don't have any editing positions available. But, like, I deadass have, like, I'm so serious about wanting to work for them that I've talked to my family about how I've genuinely considered, like, once I have my degree, trying to get a job with this German fucking company, because I don't know, I've always had good experiences with them, and I like the platform, and I'd like to work for them. So yeah, Inkit is my personal choice. If you write fan fiction, AO3 might be a good choice for you. Quotive is kind of dead in terms of popularity, but there is still a user base on there, so you could use Quotive as well if you wanted to. But yeah, I prefer Inkit, and if we're talking fic, then I prefer AO3, even if I have problems with AO3 as well. I don't know. After having so many fucking problems with Wattpad over the years, deleting my account and just, like, never looking back was the most cathartic thing I could have ever fucking done. It was like closing a book, except instead of being pained by the fact that the book is over, I was happy and satisfied that I was finally moving on. And this is essentially me writing a comprehensive review of that chapter of my life and trying to explain how it impacted me and how I felt about it. And also, low-key, I just wanted to make fun of Wattpad a little bit, but in a way that isn't done usually. Because I think there's this people who, like, mock Wattpad because it's popular with young girls, and it's like, Wattpad has a lot of shit to, like, criticize it for, and none of it is the young female fan base of it, you know? You're just a misogynist, man. I don't know what else to tell you. But anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you for allowing me to, like, complain for an hour about Wattpad. I had a good time. And I do like this format. I think this is what I'm going to stick with. I feel like I had a much easier time talking than I would have on camera because I didn't have to worry about like how I looked. I didn't have to feel like I needed to look at the camera or anything. I was just able to talk from the heart. So thank you very much. I hope this was enlightening. I hope even for the people out there who like Wattpad that you gave me a chance and that you've come to understand that even if we have differing opinions on the site, that doesn't change the fact that our two views of it can be valid at the same time. Because I think there are a lot of people who found success through Wattpad or who have never had problems with it, who've enjoyed it. And for those people, I'm happy for you. But please understand that when people say Wattpad is garbage, that's not necessarily them attacking your experiences and is more just them using words to communicate their experiences and trying to explain to you that even if you've had a great experience, that does not change the fact that they have not. So yeah. Thank you, everybody, and guess I'll see you in the next one.